Greetings and salutations, folks, and welcome once again, as always, to another helping of Mr H's Hot Pot. You join me today back in Bolton, outside the late great Fred Dibnah's former home, Bolton's much loved Steeplejack and TV celebrity. Now, not every job that Fred did in his hometown of Bolton was recorded for TV. One such job is the Richard Threlfall Chimney in Bolton town centre. It's a familiar chimney on the Bolton skyline to most Boltonians, and today we're going to be taking a look at it because Fred did quite a bit of work on it throughout the 70s all the way through to the 1990s. So without further ado, I'm now going to make the short 9-minute walk into Bolton town centre and take a look at the Richard Threlfall Chimney. And here we are, folks. Behind me, as you can just see there over my shoulder, is the Richard Threlfall factory. And today the chimney just stands alone, it's not part of anything. But way back when, in 1911, when it was built, it was part of the Richard Threlfall Engineering Company, which made looms and all kinds of machinery for the textile industry way back when. And ironically, a lot of the machines that was built in this factory probably was on mills that Fred worked on. Now, I've had to come so far back from it because it's so tall. It's 150 feet tall, that chimney. But we'll be going close up and personal with it, or as close as we can get to it, because I can't actually get on the grounds because it's all locked up today. And we'll talk a little bit about the factory that used to stand there, and the chimney, and of course, Fred's work on it. So come on, let's get into it, shall we? And here it is, folks. This is the former home of the Richard Threlfall Engineering Company, and here is its famous chimney, which, as I said, has stood here since 1911 and is a familiar landmark to Boltonians around the town centre. Now, the building behind the chimney, that dates from much older. It's from about the 1800s. The company was founded in 1834 apparently by Richard Threlfall, and it's one of Bolton's oldest family-run businesses. Continuation sort of father to son, and you don't get much of that today. They're no longer in this building. They've moved to Lostock. They moved in the year 2000, and they said it was a bit of a wrench to move. And the premises used to be massive. Where the chimney is, which stands alone now, that used to be attached to another building that ran all the way along that fence line. I'll put a photograph in there for you of what the premises used to look like, and you'll see just how big this factory site used to be. Now, they decided to keep this chimney as a landmark, the Threlfall family, and as an icon, as underneath one of those banners on the other side, which is where Fred laddered his chimney from when he was working on this in the 1970s, where it says Excellency today, it has on the other side, underneath one of those banners, Threlfall, and it could be seen for miles around in white. Now, the word Excellency refers to the people who now own the building, which is Excellency Capital, and they're going to turn that building into, yes, you've guessed it, Hot Potters, luxury apartments. 54 apartments will be built in there, and other mixed use, should the project ever get off the ground. The reason I say that is there was granted permission in January 2022 to start work on this project, but they as of yet need to break ground on it. I'll put a link in there for you to a video that Seed Architects of Manchester have done for what this site will look like should they ever get started on it. As you can see, it's an ambitious project. I'm now going to make my way around the other side of this petrol station here and take a look at the chimney from that side, because that is where Fred laddered his chimney from. And this is the side that most people take photographs of this chimney from. I'll put a photograph in for you now showing Fred at the top of that chimney attaching a red nose to his ladders. And as always, I'll always say it whenever I do one of the chimneys that he worked on, he must have had balls of steel to be up so high. Beneath that particular banner, if you look really closely, if you zoom in, where the E is for excellency, you can just make out the D, which would have been part of the letters for Richard Threlfall. It is underneath that banner. I'll put a photograph in for you now to show what it looked like back in the day. And as you can see, it looked much different, this particular scene. There is the building that's due to be renovated sometime, and I'll make my way across the road and we'll take a look down it. You'll be able to see that it's a rather impressive building for the Victorian era. And there we go, that's looking down the face of what will be apartments, should Excellency Capital and Seed Architects get their way. Now what will happen to this beautiful chimney is unknown. It is seen in the video, so it will be part of the development, but as far as I know, it's not grade 2 listed or anything like that. So who knows, maybe it'll get dropped, reduced in size, or maybe it will be removed altogether. I'm going to be a little bit cheeky now and walk through this petrol station and see if I can get as close to that chimney as I can, and see if we can see any of the marks that Fred will have left on there, such as his holes for plugging in where his ladders would have gone. And if we're really lucky, we might even get to see some of the little cement tags that he used to place on chimneys after he'd worked on them, with the year that the work commenced and his initials, which of course is FD. And this is the closest I can get to this chimney. And when you stood more or less right at the side of it, you realise just how high it is. But it is good to see that it hasn't been festooned with mobile phone antennas. I often wonder what Fred would have thought about that. A lot of these beautiful chimneys having those stuck on top. And there we go, Hot Potters, I managed to find them. They'll be dead in the centre of your screen now. The next one, just a little way up there, and so on and so forth. All the way. I'm having to lean right back here, Hot Potters. All the way up to the top. And here we are, back on this side. And you can see here where it would have been attached to the building once, and presumably it would have gone in to some kind of boiler house that would have powered the factory. Now in 2010, one of Richard Threlfall's descendants actually abseiled from the top, dressed in Victorian garb other than a hard hat. Why he needed a hard hat, I've no idea. What was going to drop on his head, a plane? They made him wear one, and he abseiled down the 150 feet. A very brave man. As was Fred Dibnah, pointing it up. So we'll whip the camera around and we'll wrap this one up, I think. Right folks, well I'm going to make my way back to Fred Dibnah's house now and wrap this video up from there. Well folks, that'll just about do it for today. Hope you've enjoyed today's little video, taking a look at one of Fred's not so famous jobs here in his hometown of Bolton. Right then, that's it from me, Mr H. I'm out of here. I'm going to head off now, back in the old jalopy, back to Wigan, and edit up all this footage, ready for your edification as always. So, until the next time, from myself, Mr H, it is bye-bye for now.